What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers take on the Los Angeles Clippers in a game in which the Lakers need to smack the Clippers. You always need to smack the Clippers. Look, Clippers, this is their Super Bowl. This is their Larry O'Brien. This is their NBA championship because they're never going to sniff an NBA championship. So the only hope that they ever have is like, let's beat the Lakers. And, you know, all the Clipper fans are so obnoxious. They're like, oh, we beat you every time. Yeah. While you guys are celebrating regular season wins, we're out here winning championships, trying to win NBA finals, right? Our worst season in franchise history. Literally. Started 2-10. Ended up ending the same way that their greatest season in franchise history ended. So whenever Clippers fans start chirping, just remind them of that. But in all seriousness, right? Need to get the win. Need to beat them. But considering how poorly the Clippers are, now it's very possible that they turn some stuff around. We saw, I believe it was last year, where they started off like just as bad. They might have even started worse. And then they won like 20 out of 25 games. They went on like some crazy run. I don't remember off the top of my head if it was last year or the previous year. But point is that we've seen them do this, right? But assuming that they continue this downward trend, believe it or not, there's like several players on the Clippers roster that make a ton of sense for the Los Angeles Lakers. You know, so if at some point, likely closer to the trade deadline, the Clippers decide to tear it down, right, and kind of retool a little bit here and get off some salary and stuff like that, because they could potentially have money and all kinds of stuff next offseason. But if they look to like, hey, let's get off of some guys and kind of just fully retool this, Lakers make a lot of sense. And the Lakers would actually make a lot of sense for the Clippers in that type of trade, because one of the things that the Clippers want to maintain is cap space, right? Is one of the big things in the offseason. Right, this past offseason, a lot of talks that they want to kind of go get that next star, that next guy at some point. So they're trying to, any moves or things that they make is in the idea of preserving cap space in a year or two, right? So if that's the case, Lakers can oblige, right? They have plenty of just expiring contracts and players that won't tie them up long term. I've seen people be like, oh, with the Clippers and of course they will, right? If it makes sense and if it's what they want to do. Again, business doesn't have emotions. Feeling don't have emotions. But, again, Clippers do have several guys. Now, obviously, I'd love like an Ivica Zubac back. I would. Give me Zubac. I still, to this day, don't know what Magic was thinking. To this day, it's like, come on, dude. They just gave him away, right? Like, it just, it's frustrating. But, nonetheless, was done is done. I'd love to bring him back, but in all honesty, DeAndre Ayton's been so great. DeAndre Ayton, you can make an argument, is like better suited for like the Luka pairing. Zoo, that big physical interior guy, I'd love to have, but DeAndre Ayton's been great, right? So I'd rather put the assets in whatever it is into getting the actual players that we do need. Obviously, I'd stay away from the older guys, Nicholas Batum, who, no, don't get me wrong, he'd be great. I don't think they trade guys like Cam Christie, who I'd love to have. So the guys that I really look at, right? Derrick Jones Jr. I'd love to have Derrick Jones Jr. I know he's injured at this time, but like he's a guy, again, familiar with Luka, had his literally career year emergence. He went from a guy that was like the 15th guy at the end of the bench to literally like the premier 3-and-D guy that year on a finals run, and gives the Lakers exactly what they need. Size, length, athleticism, ability to play multiple positions and defend 1 through 3 for you, right? Sign me up for Derrick Jones Jr. That would be fantastic. Chris Dunn, again, another kind of versatile 2-way 3-and-D style guard. He's a guy that'd be ideal, slotted alongside Luka, slotted alongside Austin Reeves, can initiate the offense, be that point of attack, one of the better kind of on-ball guards in the league, one of the guys that can really kind of apply that ball pressure that the Lakers would be looking for. If you could pull something off to where, you look at Derrick Jones Jr., he's making $10 million. You look at Chris Dunn, talking $5.4 million. It's $15 million in salary. I mean, you could easily go and pull that off. I mean, you could do, Gabe Vincent and a Dalton Connect, and boom, there's the money for that, and do a 2-for-2 swap type thing, and maybe throw in an asset or something, right? Like, it just, again, at the end of the day, it depends on what exactly would the Clippers be looking for in a various trade. Would they really want to tear it down, and would they be willing to give up, kind of the key rotation guys? Because those are the guys, like Derrick Jones Jr., Chris Dunn, those are the two guys that immediately jump out the page to you. Those are the two guys that is like, hey, these two would just do wonders for this team. All the young guys, I think they'd want to keep. Even like a Brook Lopez, I'd personally stay away from. Yes, you could argue we could use an upgrade, and he could provide some of that in a backup role. But honestly, again, I'd stay away from him. If you're going to do that and you're going to put the assets into a backup center, I'd rather go kind of younger. Can you go get like a Nick Richards or something like that? Obviously, he doesn't give you the floor spacing that a Brook Lopez gives you, but he's just younger, gives you more long-term potential. Anybody that's like, oh, what about Kawhi? You stay away from Kawhi, James Harden, all those guys. To me, I'm really just looking at like, what are the Lakers' biggest needs? Size, length, two-way capability, and defense out on the perimeter. Right? So, to me, again, Derrick Jones Jr., Chris Dunn, I wouldn't hate John Collins. I'm still a fan of John Collins. He's expired, so he's a guy that you could go and get and acquire, and he's costly though, right? Not like asset wise, but making $26.5 million, which again, he's not going to get that on his next contract. But he does give you size, length, and athleticism. You can slot him in literally 3 through 5, right? JJ Redick likes to play kind of the small ball lineups, right? Having John Collins slotted in at the 5 in your small ball lineup would still give you that 6'10" guy with the wingspan and athleticism and defense, a guy that can defend out on the perimeter. I mean, could you imagine John Collins with Luka and Austin Reeves and LeBron, and just the quality of 3-point looks and shot qualities that he would get? And then on top of that, you add in just his ability to jump out the gym and give you that athleticism as that lob threat, just a guy that can yam. Technically you could get all three, right? Like you look at John Collins, he's making, as I mentioned, $26.5 million. Let's call it $27 million because Lakers would have to send out more money, probably have to get a 3-team. But between that, Chris Dunn, right? You're talking basically $33 million. Derrick Jones Jr. put you at about $43 million. So, like I said, you'd have to talk a Rui, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, like all of that. But get a legit two-way guard slotted in alongside Luka and Austin Reeves. You get a legit 3-and-D athletic, versatile wing that you could slot in. I mean, Derrick Jones Jr. could start at the 3 for you like he did in Dallas. I mean, he could be the guy that comes in and kind of solves some of that lack of athleticism out on the perimeter, lack of defense, a lack of shooting. We saw how well he played off of Luka in that premier year. Again, you're talking about a guy that, he was an afterthought in Chicago, 15th man, just kind of taking up roster spots, roster space, and then just went to Dallas, went to that right situation, that right environment, played alongside the right guy, really bought into his role and excelled in it, and saw him really just thrive. Again, he'd be fantastic. Bogdan Bogdanovic, he's 33, so I know some people but his shooting, I think, could be very beneficial. Thing is, he's making $16 million. Like, Lakers' 3-point shooting has been atrocious. So bringing in a guy like that can, play off ball, be a floor spacer, kind of basically give you what you're looking for Dalton Knecht to be. Right, is what you'd be looking for from Bogdan Bogdanovic. Again, another guy, just quality of looks alongside LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves. I just think it would be unfair at times. With the Clippers, if we're being honest, with the Clippers, he hasn't really been the guy that he was in like Atlanta and stuff like that. He's kind of been a bit underwhelming. Again, goes into fit. I mean, outside of James Harden, who's the guy that they have that's really making plays? Right? They're so reliant on James Harden to be that engine and playmaker. Right? Like, again, even like Chris Dunn, something like that, he's a guy that is good for initiating, but beyond that, where, again, you have Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves. So, guys like a John Collins, guys like a Chris Dunn, guys like a Derrick Jones Jr., their ability to thrive off ball and their ability to kind of play and fill that need in that void. I mean, really, the two guys I'd be trying to get very heavily, Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn. You're talking 15s, call it $16 million in salary. Like I mentioned, you could do Gabe Vincent, Dalton Knecht, it gets you where you need, 2-for-2 swap, maybe throw in a second or something like that. And the deal, it's like, hey, here's a young player, here's a second round pick, and then, here's Gabe Vincent to help you get through the season, and then, that Dalton Knecht guy. Because who's giving up a first for either of those guys? Probably no. Like they're not like, again, they're not like high end, top end guys, right? Both of those guys combined, maybe you could argue a first, but I'd still want kind of that high end guy. Like if you could do, like I said, Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect, and go get those two, and then go do like Rui and Vando and whatever else to go get a Wiggins or something like that. Boom. Now I think we're the best team in basketball. Because now, imagine if you had Chris Dunn, Marcus Smart, Andrew Wiggins, and a Derrick Jones Jr. Whew, that'd be, we can only dream. But in all seriousness, again, this is just more kind of a fun video, just a fun dive in conversation. But no, I just figured, hey, we're playing the Clippers. Let's dive into a couple guys. I do think, like I said, there's a couple guys on that team, and with how bad they've been and how poor they've played, it makes sense to kind of keep an eye on them. They're a team we could definitely keep an eye on. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.